So the quagga was a unique southern subspecies of the plains zebra, distinguished by its partial striping that covered only the head, neck, and front portion of its body, while its upper parts were brownish instead of white like other zebras. The last wild quaggas were likely captured around 1870, and the final known survivor, a female, lived in Amsterdam Zoo from May 9, 1867, until her death on August 12, 1883. Tragically, no one realized she was the last of her kind at the time, partly because the term quagga was often used loosely to refer to any zebra. The species was driven to extinction primarily due to relentless hunting by South African farmers who valued its meat and leather, as well as viewing it as competition for grazing land needed for their livestock such as sheep and goats. By the time its extinction was recognized, it was already too late, marking another irreversible loss in Earth's biodiversity caused by human activity. The passenger pigeon story stands as one of modern history's most shocking extinction tragedies. Just 2 centuries ago, these birds were unimaginably abundant across North America, with single flocks darkening the skies in numbers reaching billions. Their population collapse came with terrifying speed as their meat became industrialized into cheap protein for slaves and the poor, which, triggered uncontrolled mass hunting campaigns. At the same time, farmers waged war against the birds they viewed as agricultural pests. The species' staggering population density ironically became its downfall. What made them so resilient also made them easy targets. And, in a cruel twist of fate, the last known passenger pigeon, Martha, died in complete solitude at Cincinnati Zoo on September 1, 1914 at approximately 1 p.m., marking the abrupt end of what had recently been Earth's most numerous bird species. This catastrophic disappearance from billions to zero in mere decades remains one of conservation's most sobering cautionary tales about humanity's capacity to destroy even the most abundant species through uncontrolled exploitation and short-sighted persecution. The golden toad's tragic story began with its scientific discovery in 1966 by herpetologist J. Savage, when this dazzlingly bright orange amphibian was found thriving in the misty cloud forests of Monteverde, Costa Rica. In what became one of the fastest documented disappearances of any species, the toad's population catastrophically collapsed over just 3 years. After breeding normally in 1987, erratic weather patterns caused their breeding pools to dry prematurely, dooming nearly an entire generation, with only 29 surviving from what should have been 30,000 offspring. By 1988, researchers could find just 10 individuals, 8 males and 2 females, and the species' final confirmed sighting came in 1989 when a solitary male was observed, leaving scientists baffled at how such a vibrant population could vanish so abruptly. Despite exhaustive searches and subsequent decades across its known habitat, no further evidence of the golden toad has ever been found, making it one of the first prominent victims of climate change-induced extinction and a sobering reminder of how fragile specialized ecosystems can be when faced with environmental disruptions. The Caribbean monk seal holds the tragic distinction of being the only seal species native to the Caribbean Sea and Gulf of Mexico, and the only seal to be driven to extinction entirely by human activity. First encountered by Columbus during his second voyage in 1494 off the coast of Santo Domingo, where his crew killed 8 of what they called sea wolves for food, this initial encounter set the pattern for centuries of exploitation that would follow. European settlers systematically hunted the once abundant seals for their oil, while fishermen mercilessly slaughtered them as perceived competition, their trusting nature and slow movements on land making them, honestly, pretty easy targets. The species' final confirmed sighting occurred in 1952 at Saranilla Bank between Honduras and Jamaica, ending the existence of a marine mammal that had survived for millennia, but proved no match for human greed and carelessness. Its extinction represents one of the clearest cases of human-caused wildlife destruction, as the combination of direct hunting habitat encroachment and the animal's own docile temperament sealed its fate within just 458 years of first European contact, a blink of an eye in ecological time. So the Pyrenean ibex has honestly one of the more interesting stories among extinct animals. It was actually the first species to ever be brought back into existence via cloning, only to go extinct again just 7 minutes after being born due to lung failure. The Pyrenean ibex was native to, the Pyrenees, a mountain range in Andorra, France, and Spain. The Pyrenean ibex was still abundant in the 14th century, but its population declined due to a slow but continuous persecution. It disappeared from the French Pyrenees and the eastern Cantabrian mountain range by the mid-19th century. Its situation has been critical since the beginning of the 20th century, when it was estimated that the Pyrenean population in Spain numbered only about 100 individuals. Since the beginning of the 20th century, the population never rose above 40 individuals. In 1981, the population was reported to be 30, and at the end of the 1980s, the population size was estimated at 6 to 14 individuals. The last naturally born Pyrenean ibex, named Celia, died on January 6, 2000 after being found dead under a fallen tree at the age of 13. That animal's only companion had died just a year earlier due to old age. So, Javan tigers were actually a subspecies of tigers that were found only on the Indonesian island of Java. Back in the early 19th century, these tigers were so common that in some places people just saw them as pests. But as the human population grew, a lot of the island got cultivated, and that really cut down their natural habitat. Wherever people moved in, the Javan tigers were hunted down or poisoned, often pretty ruthlessly. Interestingly, it was usually the local people doing the hunting, which is kind of surprising since they actually believed the tiger was a reincarnation of their dead relatives. The last confirmed sighting of a Javan tiger was in 1972, but there's some evidence from track counts that a few might have survived into the 1980s. The last time tracks were found was in 1979, and only 3 tigers were identified then. The main reason they went extinct was, honestly, agricultural encroachment and habitat loss, which, is still a pretty serious issue in Java today. The Tecopa pupfish's tragic story began in the harsh beauty of California's Mojave Desert, where this tiny fish had thrived for millennia in the isolated outflows of North and South Tecopa hot springs. First scientifically documented by Robert Rush Miller in 1948, the species' fate was sealed in the 1940s when its delicate spring habitats were channeled into canals and transformed into bathhouses for human recreation. As Tecopa Hot Springs grew into a popular desert resort destination during the 1950s and 1960s, the construction of hotels and trailer parks completed the destruction of the pupfish's specialized ecosystem. By 1981, the Tecopa pupfish earned the grim distinction of becoming the first species officially declared extinct under the 1973 Endangered Species Act, its disappearance serving as an early warning about the vulnerability of desert aquatic species to human development.